Hello and welcome to today's daily news analysis. As always, we are doing the Hindu newspapers daily edition. Fine. So let us see some news. So first of all, we have an update on the Jal Jeevan mission. So we should know more about the Jal Jeevan mission. So let's have a look at it. So Jal Jeevan mission was basically introduced to ensure that all rural households have tap water connection. So you can see over here, piped water supply to all rural households by 2024. So some of the objectives have been mentioned over here. Right. So basic details of the scheme you should know. This is coming under Ministry of Jal Shakti. So newly formed ministry, Ministry of Jal Shakti. Okay. So this was important. Now we have some political news. So I am in presidential race to strengthen Congress. Fine. Let's move forward. So after a 2-year break, Pujo being celebrated with themes around women independence. Okay, so we are talking about the Durga Puja. Now, I mean, from GS1, from exam point of view, I didn't get much from this article, but from GS1 point of view, the issue of women. So we can work on the issue of women, issue of independence. Both are in GS1. How about the role of women in India's independence? This is very, very important for your GS1. We tend to neglect this, we tend to ignore this, but UPSC can ask this question. So, role of women in India's national movement. So, that is one theme. Now, when we're talking about this, we can always talk about what role did Gandhiji play in this regard? Because after the emergence of Gandhiji in the national movement, we have a spurt of women's participation in the independence movement. So, Gandhiji's contributions. We can always talk about women and revolutionary movements. So, that is also a very, very important theme. Right, so I think these things overall, women and independence, women's role, Gandhiji and revolutionary. Now, when I say women and independence, we can also talk about prior to 1857, around that period also, Rani Lakshmibai, etc. We can mention that also. Okay, let's move forward. Shameful that capital lags in Swachh rankings, says Aam Aadmi Party demands early civic polls. We're not interested in this because I've read this, I didn't get much. What we are interested is Swachh rankings, Swachhta rankings, and what is the government doing to improve Swachh rankings? Now, this is obviously about the Swachhta Abhiyan of the government, and Swachhta this thing Abhiyan of this government is two. So we have one for the urban and other for the rural India. So when we were looking at the Jal Jeevan mission, it was part of the rural this thing. Now we're looking at the urban. Our focus is on Swachhta urban. Okay. So we have this indicator actually, Swachh rankings. So such rankings have been mentioned over here, and these are the parameters. What are the parameters? Garbage free city, making the city open defecation free, and citizen voice. So feedback of citizen. So these are some parameters, some key scores in the Swachhta rankings. So now this is one step that the government is taking to improve Swachhta in urban India. Swachh rankings. How? This is creating a spirit of competition amongst the states. And this, my friend, is also known as competitive federalism. So this is one step, of course. Now let us see from the PIB itself, what is the government doing to address this issue. We already have open defecation free and garbage free city. We should know the definitions also of this. What does it mean, garbage free city? Yeah. So garbage free status means all cities having 100% 100% segregation, door-to-door collection of segregated waste, and scientific processing and management of all waste, and safe disposal in landfills. So that is the meaning of garbage-free status, right? So, garbage free, like, does it mean not having landfills? So it still has landfills over here. Now let us see some other things. So having individual household latrines, or having open defecation. Open defecation means obviously doing passing stools in the open. So if you want to stop that, you need to have toilets. So individual household latrines have to be constructed, and in places where individual household latrines cannot be made, for example, in slum areas where the houses are very, very small, so community and public toilets can be there. And otherwise also in markets, etc., we can have public toilets. Okay. So we have this. Then we have what all else the government is doing. It is providing financial assistance to states. It is providing technical protocols and capacity building. So you can see the steps over here. I don't think I have to state the same, right? So here the measures are given over here. Besides, we also have this, right? So we get some pointers from here itself as to what the government is doing to deal with this issue of solid waste management. I'll share this on the Telegram as well. Okay. In fact, when we're talking about this waste management, a landfill is a very important topic. Landfills in the urban area. And again, scientific safe management of landfill is again very, very important from GS3 point of view. So it's important. Let's move forward. Let's zoom out, actually, it makes it easier. Okay, so some political party related news. Okay, this seemed interesting. Vishakhapatnam, a graveyard for submarines. Fine. So let's read this. So Vishakhapatnam is on the eastern coast, Andhra Pradesh. It is the home for the Eastern Naval Command. Those students who are preparing for CDSE, AFCAT, for them, such questions are asked actually. So it's the home for the Eastern Naval Command. And the 1000-year-old Simachalam temple. I think this is all we have over here. Besides this news over here, information over here, we get to know about the information on PNS Ghazi. There was a movie also on this. So PNS Ghazi, and a Japanese submarine was sunk near this area. Right, so let's see this Simachalam temple also. It's the basic information you must have. Right. Okay, so read more about it. Who commissioned this? Which is the main deity that is being worshipped over here? Read more about this. It will help you with your prelims. Okay, so no family man. We are now on the editorial and the opinion section. Hindu seems to have changed their format. Okay. So no family man. I'm not doing this. This is about Congress elections taking place. So in a party democracy, how the family should remain neutral, which controls the Congress party. Next article, choose safe surrender over infant abandonment. So why will anybody abandon their child, infant? Right, so children are abandoned for people, unwanted pregnancies, or a family doesn't feel they can take care of their child, or maybe the child they perceive as transgender or has some deficiencies. So the child is abandoned, left away. Okay. So what we want as a society is, rather than abandonment, if you feel that way, that you cannot take responsibility or for whatever reason, people should surrender their child safely, right? So in the lawful manner, they should surrender it, and don't just leave it at the temple side or leave them in the garbage or whatever. Don't do that. So we want move towards the safe surrender. Same thing has been elaborated over here. Okay. So what is the government doing about it? I mean, obviously, why we understand why it should be done, but what is the government doing about this? So one is the Juvenile Justice Act. So Juvenile Justice Act says that in case if a child has been abandoned, if an infant has been abandoned, then in that case, criminal proceedings will not be initiated. So one thing is they want to criminal proceedings will not be initiated against parents who have abandoned their child. There will be search, of course. They will be searched. The parents, biological parents, would be searched, but criminal proceedings will not take place. So that is one step that the government has taken. Besides, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. Medical termination of pregnancy means abortion. So the abortion, medical termination of pregnancy, has been made more liberal. So now it is not only for married women, but also for any woman. So any woman could also be a teenager, adolescent maybe. Unwanted pregnancy has taken place. Unmarried woman who doesn't want for whatever reason. So any woman, and may not be a married woman also, can seek medical termination of pregnancy. So that has been done. So this will reduce the scope of infants in the first place itself. Then what needs to be done? We have Asha workers, Dais, Anganwadis. So social workers basically on government's payroll, social workers. So these social workers who have good networks can play a role in educating and sensitizing them. Social influence and persuasion ethics. Okay. So they can educate them, they can sensitize the people about this issue and maybe inform them about the ways of self-surrender. And people who have good network would also know what if there is a possibility of unwanted pregnancy and if there is a potential infant abandonment. Okay, so that can be there. Then non-reporting of abandonment. If somebody doesn't report abandonment, then in that case, in a prescribed time, then it will be declared as a criminal offense. Okay. Yeah, next article. UK is staring into an economic abyss. What does abyss means? Even if we don't know the meaning of this term, I think we can understand from the sentence. The UK is staring into an economic abyss. Means something is not right. Staring. I think basic information you would have seen on your phones also. We all our Android phones, etc. They give this news updates, so we get some basic idea. So in UK, there is a political controversy that has taken place. You know, we have the new Prime Minister in England, Liz Truss. So this new Prime Minister, when she has come to power, what she has done is, in fact, during the debates also, when Liz Truss versus Rishi Sunak debates were taking place for the elections to the prime ministership, she said that we need to be more liberal in finance, tax, etc. So what she has announced is, she has announced ideologically driven tax cuts. So tax cuts means taxes have been reduced. Tax cuts that have disproportionately favor high earners. Right? So tax cuts have been announced. So what does this mean? The idea first, the purpose of this tax cut logically would be that there is already so much pressure, financial pressure on the people of UK, especially. So if we reduce the tax burden on them, then it will spur up demand. It will increase demand because people will have more money. It will spur up investments. That should be the logical thing of going forward. Further, there was concern over inflation also because especially after the Ukraine war, the energy prices have increased. Okay, so tax cuts, especially on high earners, because people who earn more will invest more also. Okay, they tend to invest more. Okay. Now they have increased the tax cuts. That means if they increase the tax cuts, that means the revenue that comes to the government, revenue accruing to the government. Naturally, how does the government get money? By taxes. So this revenue will also come down, right? The revenue will come down, and they are also announcing subsidies. So they are not able to explain how they will finance these packages, this financial tax cuts, etc. So they're not able to announce this. And if the government is not able to manage their finances well, if they are spending more, basically, if they are spending more but generating less revenue, less income is coming, naturally they will stare at a financial crisis. So that is a problem. So the new finance minister here, their finance minister is known as Chancellor of the Exchequer. So their new finance minister was not able to explain properly how the announced support on winter fuel bills to households, small businesses would be funded. Okay, so they were not able to do that. So as a result of this, people who had invested into their government bonds, treasuries, financial markets, they felt that UK anytime there can be something wrong taking place. So they have decided to withdraw money. I hope you're getting it. So money has been withdrawn. The financial markets are crashing because of lack of confidence. So because of lack of confidence, the markets have been crashing over here. So this is a problem. So much so that the International Monetary Fund, even though it doesn't criticize, but it has taken a strong note of the policy of the Great Britain. And even the Bank of England, like we have Reserve Bank of India, the Bank of England has also taken, they have been concerned about this policy of the government. Besides, there is concern also of increased inequality. If the rich is taxed less, naturally, so there'll be rising inequality, so that will be there. And further, there is also a scope of inflation, right? So there is a concern over the issue of inflation also. If if the finances are not managed well, right? If people do not have belief, faith in your economy, your currency will depreciate. If your currency depreciates, you will have to spend more on buying things and hence inflation. Right, so that is the problem. Okay, one more aspect is when the markets have been falling over here, especially the bond markets. So the Bank of England has offered that we will buy the bonds. So Bank of England will buy bonds. So more money will come into the economy. So more inflation. So that is also another reason. Okay, let's move forward. Mahatma Gandhi, the peacemaker, not doing it. Understanding the Durga Puja economy, doing it for a specific reason. Festival and associated economy associated with it. And why? Because I'm more focused in the economy of a temple. This is a very important theme, right? So temple and their economy, how temple are able to transform cities and villages into cities. So that's something that occurred to me while reading this topic over here. So basically, this is talking about the Durga Puja economy, where it says, and we expect it also, like any festival takes place, Navratri, any festival. So there are these sales take place, people tend to spend more on those occasions. Same applies for under the Durga Puja economy. And besides this, people willing to spend more during the time of distinct festivities. All this, all the sculptures, all the craftsmen that are there engaged in all this, they also tend to benefit. And most of them are actually belonging to the informal economy. So informal economy tends to benefit because of this. I think yeah, that will be sufficient. Iran's indices and the immediate causes of protest. Not doing this, but I think we have it. We have this highlighted part over here. Lack of adequate political freedoms, absence of gender equality, recurrent economic crisis have frequently triggered protest. Can make a video on the same actually, but I don't think it will be important for your mains anytime soon. Unless you're giving a pairing for interview, maybe they can be asked. Okay, so we have this news over here, some facts over here. The RBI expects inflation to fall next year. Inflation is so high that it's logical to expect it to fall only. Okay, the rise of the far right in Italy. Next article. Why is this a matter of concern? That's my point. I'm not interested in the politics of Italy. So, Italy elections, naturally, elections would have taken place, and we have the people belonging to the far right political parties. They have gained majority, good majority. By the way, BJP party is also a right party, right wing party. I don't know far right or not, but yeah, right wing party. Why is this a concern for us? I mean, you know, Europe. If you look, Europe is a group of countries. Obviously, it's a continent having many countries over here. And far right means, if we give example of far right political parties, the party of Mussolini, the party of Hitler, Nazi party, they are all far right parties belonging to the far right ideology. And that means greater emphasis on nationalism. Greater emphasis on nationalism. And when we talk about greater emphasis on nationalism, etc., that may lead to tensions within the Europe if we, because Europe is having number of countries with strong nationalistic identities, and there has been an effort to dilute that thing, because greater and greater of nationalism, hyper nationalism, actually resulted in the world wars. So they're conscious of that. Now, so in the context of unification of Europe, we should look into this issue over here. What happened to the Nord Stream pipelines? Yeah, what happened? So I hope you know what is Nord Stream pipeline. Where is the Nordic Sea, by the way? So Nordic Sea is obviously north of England. So around that region, let's see on the map here. Yes, see. Fine. So this is from Russia. Gas will come and it comes to Europe. So one of the main supply lines of energy to Europe. Another route was Ukraine route from the south and east region. Okay. So blast has taken place. Leakage has taken place, and there was some seismologist around this region, and they felt that there was undersea explosion. So possibly there was an element of sabotage. Sabotage means deliberately spoiling something, breaking something. So that has taken place. Okay. So what are the implications over here? See, this route was the operational since 2011, and it is the largest single supply route for Russian gas to Europe. So what will happen now? Nothing really, actually, because this pipeline that was there, Nord Stream pipeline, after the war had taken place, the and sanctions and counter sanctions from Russia, they said, okay, fine, we will not supply you adequate gas. So Russia was supplying only 20% of the gas. And after that, the company that controls the Nord Stream, they stopped supply of gas altogether. So they finally cut gas flows from the pipeline, right? So on the pretext of maintenance, that we have to maintain the pipeline, so they stopped the supply lines. The idea being very simple: cut off Europe from energy. So Europe supply of energy. This will put inflation, more price rise, and there will be political unrest in Europe, and they would talk against sanctions on Russia, reverse sanctions on Russia. So that must have been the goal. Anyways, so that has taken place. Now with the sabotage, of course, the scope of getting energy from Russia gets undermined because of that. Besides, this pipeline that was there was already having some gas. Fine, the supply has been stopped, but there must be some supply of some gas within the this pipeline already. So this gas is now leaking into the environment. Right, so leaking into the environment, so climate change, methane, etc. is being released. So this is not good for the environment. This is not good for the sea. So ecology over here. So that way it is bad. Besides, European gas prices spiked because of the reports of the leak. So if even if the supply gas was not coming, there was always a scope of gas coming from this side. Now with the emergence of leak emerging, the scope of getting gas from this obviously comes down like anything. So scope comes down. So there is a speculation that the gas prices will further increase because we know that one supply line has been stopped altogether. So that is it. Besides these concerned countries, Russia, US, European countries, they are engaging in a war of words. The race to provide exhaustive satellite broadband services in India. Nothing much really. Yeah. We do not have adequate supply of, I mean, our internet coverage. We are looking at 5G, but we do not have 4G right now. For 4G adequately in our country, it's very poor connectivity is there. And for 5G, if we want to have 5G optics. Optical cables have to be laid, and all those things have to be done. Okay. Now with 5G and high-speed internet, if we want that sort of connectivity, so we will have to depend on fiber optics plus satellites roaming on the lower Earth orbit. So low Earth orbit constellations, for example, Starlink satellite is an example. I don't want to spoil this because we have some name of the companies engaged over here. Okay, so we need some satellite based network like in US we have Starlink, the company of Elon Musk. So they can provide high speed internet connection. They can complement the inadequacies on the ground. So from satellite we can get high speed internet. Okay, so this is, so naturally there is competition. There are companies coming up. We saw some companies, Geo and Geo platforms actually. So this is this is the name for it. OneWeb, UGIS, and Tata backed Nelco. So these companies are engaged in this. Okay, so they have gotten the license, etc. So that is taking place, except for this OneWeb company. So OneWeb has a problem because ever since the war on Ukraine, they have delayed their activity because they were required to use the Soyuz rockets of Russia. So because of sanctions, of course, they have decided to wait or look at an alternative. Now, concerned associated with satellite-based connectivity. This is what I wanted to do actually. So one is it is not very fast. So this is slow. Now you know what I feel it's counter to the thing what I've read about Starlink, where high-speed internet is being provided. So it is slow. So satellite data transfer provides very slow internet speeds. Fine, let's go with this only then. Connection times may be impacted by your surroundings. Naturally, something coming from space, it may get affected. You remember the old days when we had D2H, direct to home. So when the rains were to take place or when the cloudy weather, sometimes our connection would get interrupted because of that. Now, after this fiber optics have come up, we are not concerned with any weather changes, etc. We get high-speed internet almost all the time. So likewise, if direct to home is connected with the satellite, so satellite based internet will get affected because of this. Then emergency SOS via satellite might not work in places above 62-degree latitude. Does it concern us? No, 62-degree latitude is Canada, Arctic, this close to the North Pole. Okay. Satellite internet latency can be a significant problem. For example, if you're doing video chats, so there may be a lag of up to a second also. So that second or two, so that lag is more. What they're saying if we are using real-time applications. Okay. UK firm asks India to unravel frustrating red tape and broader view on lending norms. If even if UK firms are not there, we're not concerned. What we get is points on the government's performance on ease of doing business. That's what I am interested. We're not concerned about what UK firms say. I mean, we should be, but from exam point of view, not. Yeah. So what are the concerns raised? So because the concerns that the UK companies are raising, those are the concerns that others also have. So one concern is with the financial sector. So any company that wants to have a bank in India, they have to follow some criterias. One of the criterias is priority sector lending. That is, they have to give loans on priority to certain sectors. So for equity, right? So that has to be done. For example, farmers, MSMEs. So those who are at a disadvantage, those should be given loans at a priority. Now, naturally, like giving loans to farmer may not be profitable. Farm loan waivers, we hear about this. So this is not good for the business. So the companies from UK sector, they have raised a concern on this thing. So priority sector lending norms. Now, why do we have priority sector lending norms? We have it to ensure financial inclusion, right? So another concept. Okay. Then there is a concern with reference to e-commerce, that is rising incidents of counterfeit product sales, right? So rising instances of counterfeit product sales. So something that the government has to work upon because it affects. Obviously, you make something original and somebody at half the price sells it. Nearby I go to a market where we get AirPods Pro. AirPods Pro is very, very expensive, 20,000 plus. So somebody's selling it for 700 rupees, 1,000 rupees. That's counterfeit, obviously. That's not original. So those who have actually made, those who have the intellectual property on that, they are getting disadvantaged because of this. Okay, besides concerns associated with tax procedures, taxation. So these are further areas. Let's see. So one they say is that this regulations is difficult. There are multiple regulations, or there is duplication of regulation. In fact, we will have one regulatory body. We have multiple regulatory bodies, and sometimes multiple regulatory bodies are looking into the same person. So that becomes difficult on the same subject. Two more regulatory bodies are looking into it. So that increases, and that leads to delays, that leads to cost, because obviously two people are auditing you, two people are looking into you, you have to do double that work. So that is the issue. Then in enforcement of intellectual property rights, that is a problem. And they are saying that we want equitable treatment of taxes. So here it was there, I didn't mention it on purpose. Equitable tax treatment. So they are saying that a foreign company, let's say from England, so effectively they pay corporate tax at 43.68% compared to domestic payers who are taxed at 25.17%. So this is a problem. Then again, here they're talking about priority sector lending. So the news, is jumbled up, but we get some points. Let me consolidate. It's about ease of doing business. Priority sector lending is a problem. Then duplication of regulation. Equitable tax treatment. You can mention this number over here. Mention branch model. I don't have perfect clarity on this, but basically a company comes, they operate through their branch. So that's branch model. Okay, so yeah, we get some points over here. Let's move forward. Prashant Kishore on Padayatra, right, from Champaran. Why is Champaran important? Gandhiji's Gandhiji something over here in Champaran. Okay, get ready for another round of agitation. Satyapal Malik tells farmers. Fine, fine, fine. New education policy. New education policy prescribes no language. States can choose. Fine. Today I'm not doing this, but I don't think we have to. I think this is sufficient. Why the statement is coming over here? Basic reason is that new education policy says that there should be a three language formula. And particularly the southern states have a problem with this, because if you look at three states, let's say the state of Tamil Nadu, what three languages would be coming here? So one obviously maybe Tamil, the vernacular language. Other is English. The third language maybe Hindi. Right. So the new education prescribes that there should be prescribes a three language formula. They have a problem that southern states that Hindi is being enforced upon there. So yeah. So what the committee is saying is that the states will have the freedom to choose the language of instruction, and in the democratic and decentralized process. So it's up to them how they want to go about it. So it's not being enforced upon anybody. So high powered Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti, Indian Language Committee. So dismissing assumption of imposition of languages. India's geospatial technology to grow at 12.8%. Fine. Let's leave it at this. Now you tell me, you can mention in my Telegram or comment section, what are the applications of geospatial technology? Right? So what are the applications and what is the government's policy on the same? I think you get adequate idea also, like how I search. So yeah. Okay. Telangana scoops Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin. So remember I told you about Swachh Sarvekshan Urban. Now we have Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin. So let's look at the things. So the Telangana scoops means Telangana ranks first. Okay, so let's do this. Here I don't need the PIB actually. Okay. So what are the goals? So naturally open defecation free. So open defecation free is one target. So, and for this, over 11 crore toilets have been built. And about 60 crore people had given up open defecation. So this was there. So all 6 lakh villages in India are often open defecation free plus. Now she says that we need to focus on other areas like solid and liquid waste management. So that basically is more of a urban this thing. So we need to address that issue. I think I have to go a bit fast now. Yeah. So let's look at the international news. Ukrainian troops press on after taking back strategic eastern city from Russia. Fine. Unite to face great struggles and major risks. Z tells party official. You know, when political leaders face stress or some political tension is there, then such statements usually come. I've seen this. Okay, whichever country it is. I'll share this article on this thing. I think we should do this. Yeah, I'll share this article over here. This article did not mention any reason for this dip really, but most likely because of a kind of a rebound effect. Something was so high because of a currency depreciating. People tend to invest in gold at that time. Investors, that's a stable stock, stable currency. Maybe that correction is there. Yeah, now we have sports news over here. So this basically concludes our DNA. So this is it from my side. Bye bye and all the best.